This is the Mooncast.
See you, space cowboy.
And also another thing too, that another objection that people have is the anonymity, right? So people say, okay, well, it's kind of pseudo anonymous, and we aren't really sure about the privacy. So that's what some people would say. Say it's not completely private. People can trace you, they can track you. Can you just break that down a little bit in detail so the audience can understand about the privacy concerns that they may have?
Yeah, I think I've said in this podcast previously, Bitcoin is voracious and it has a lot of features, right? When it comes to like anonymous or anonymity concerns about Bitcoin, uh, when you actually tend to like generate a public key, that's your wallet address. When you generate a public key from an exchange platform where you don't own your private keys, where you have your Bitcoin KYC, then you are actually not anonymous. But then when you generate a public key, that's like your wallet address from a private key that is being controlled by you in a cold wallet, then you are 100% anonymous. Although the transaction is transparent and accessible on the blockchain, on the network itself, on mempool, but then if you are if you decide to like take your privacy serious and not directly send coins from your KYC platform to your cold wallet directly, then the question around anonymity, the question around being able to trace an individual who owns a particular amount of Satoshi is out of it. Because one, you need to understand how this technology operates. You need to understand the features that you really want to indulge in order for you to be able to indulge such features. So people are saying, oh, transactions can be traced. Of course, they are right. If your transactions are performed on any exchange platform, I can easily trace the transaction and connect it to the user ID to your name on that exchange platform, and then you can easily be apprehended or probably make the law enforcement request for your details from those exchange platforms, depending on what your transaction is meant for, right? But when you want to go fully anonymous and run transactions that will not open up your identity, then you will be operating on the core blockchain itself with a cold wallet on a non-KYC Bitcoin. And if you're going to be using KYC Bitcoin, it's going to be probably from multiple transactions, multiple UTXOs that are not traced to just one individual. So it boils down to the fact that there are features in Bitcoin that offers you anonymity. There are also features in Bitcoin that that trades off anonymity. It depends on the one you are willing to opt for and depends on whatever your transaction is aimed at achieving that leads you into like opting for this. But one important thing we need to note is that without information and having knowledge of how this thing works, you won't even know such features exist in Bitcoin. So I think this is just a very, very soft response and not too technical response to your question. And one thing about Bitcoin is you can generate multiple public keys from a private key, and you can generate multiple private keys from a public key. That's to tell you that I can have a private key and give you different wallet addresses, which is synonymous to public keys that can be used to receive Bitcoin into just a single private key. So that's like a very good security feature as well, to just make yourself extremely anonymous.
Yeah, that's the unspent transaction output, correct?
Yeah, UPS, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say? Because another thing, if we mentioned previously before that the layer one itself, holding in a cold storage would be more of like a savings account, and then if you go to layer two, transact freely and do day to day spend, that would be more of your checkings account. Then I wanted to ask you too as well, what happens when the layer one solution gets just completely unbearable to use because just too many people using it, and it just takes like let's say a week to complete a transaction, and you're kind of operating kind of like how the current banking system is now. To let's say you want to get like 5% of your funds out from your savings account in the layer one example to the checkings account in layer two, so you can transact freely. When that becomes, wouldn't that become an issue in the long term, and also would be pretty expensive, right? So how would you navigate around that bottleneck? Would everything just have to go on layer two?
Um, no, I'm going to try and say this. What we
Yeah.
call expensive, what we call expensive is actually pretty reasonable when we compare it with the tax and the transaction charges in other digital currency and also in other mode of finance, right? If I'm
Yeah.
trying to like the fastest wire transfer takes about 3 days, and the charges I'm going to get on sending just probably $200 will be up to 10% of the amount I'm sending, or probably $5 to $15 processing fee and all of that.
Yeah.
And when you are trying to like move huge chunk of your asset from the cold wallet, which you consider as your savings, and then moving it to uh, probably a Lightning layer two or any wallet that you consider as a spending wallet, aside the times that we have network congestion on Bitcoin due to the infusion of the ordinance, most of the transaction fee are always between $2, $5, and in high network scenario, we have $10. But then imagine you trying to move about 10,000 USD, or let's say 100K USD, and you are paying the charges of $10, $5. That's pretty cheap, but then it's expensive because that amount is very low in comparison to when you are making such transactions on the Lightning Network. So my response would be it is what it is on the Bitcoin core chain. When we compare the network fee on the Bitcoin core chain with the transaction fee in the traditional finance and the transaction fee on other digital currency blockchain, it's still pretty reasonable and more happens to be the best option. So if that's the case, then I feel that's not a problem. It's more like a feature that we should get used to, because it's more like you paying for security over time and then paying for validation of the network itself, which is which is being run by the miner and then validated by the nodes. So I think that's going to be my submission regarding this particular question on transaction fee on the blockchain, and then back and forth uh, from the first account to the second account. It's pretty safe, it's pretty secure, and it's pretty cost effective.
Okay. Well, what would you say then? Because you're talking about right now, but I'm talking more so 10, 15 years from now, when we know the Bitcoin adoption is going to 10 to 20x, right? From where it is currently now. I think currently right now we have what, like 60, 70 million wallet active users, daily active users, or whatever it is. But we know that number is going to 10 to 20 to maybe even 100x, within the next 10 to 15 years. So in terms of the scalability, it'll get a lot worse at the base layer. So wouldn't it be then the transactions would be even more expensive and even slower, that we're waiting like a week or 2 weeks to be able to transact and move the value from base layer to layer 2?
Imagine 10xing your earnings capacity to 100K per year while working remotely at the comfort of your own home. We are in the exponential growth phase of technological advancements. That means AI, AR, VR, robotics, and of course, Web3 technologies taking over the job market. At HeliCode Academy, we train students on Web3 hard skills and link them to employment in the job market. Find out more at helicode.xyz. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
I would say it won't be slower because we will have high level of miners by then, and the hash rate, there will be difficulty adjustments to make things better as things keeps progressing in Bitcoin. I'm going to implore everyone listening to us to check timechainstats.com. You're going to see the context of difficulty adjustment. You're going to see the context of increase in mining strength and all of that. So as we keep tuning towards hyper Bitcoinization, we tend to have more miners. We tend to have change in difficulty adjustment and all of that. So this itself brings efficiency to the Bitcoin core layer in terms of transaction. You're going to see the fees getting adjusted to like meet up with the supply and demand in terms of running the core blockchain itself. All this has been figured into Bitcoin source code itself. So difficulty adjustment and more infills in miner will definitely solve that problem. It's something we don't need to worry about. For instance, during the unexpected intrusion of Bitcoin ordinals, where we start seeing people putting JPEGs, pictures on the core blockchain itself. That is actually a feature to test the efficiency of Bitcoin core blockchain. And Bitcoin has been able to withstand that test despite going so strong and all. We see adjustment in fees, we see adjustment in transaction processing time and all of that. That's because at the same level of mining operation right now, we now have more concentration of memory power and all of that. But as time goes on, I mean, we've spoken about it. We keep having more mining strength. We keep having different Bitcoin mining farms situated across different regions in the world. So just the way we expect much adoption in terms of utility, we also expect much adoption in terms of mining strength, which is something that has been going on in hand over time. So we won't be factual if we are looking at adoption in terms of utility and medium of exchange and ignoring the adoption in terms of mining and network and transaction validation as well. So I think this is my response to your question. And Bitcoin has projected and been developed to actually address that problem in the nearest future.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense. And some people would argue and say, well, by 2040, when the last block gets mined or block reward gets given out to the miners, what then is the point of miners mining then? Can you please give people a little bit of a breakdown? I know the answer, but I just want to make sure the audience can get a little bit of a breakdown of what that actually means and where we'll transition to when that time comes.
Wow, thank you, Moonboy. I mean, none of us will be here by then, even except if we are immortal or not. But then one thing
I don't
is,
know. Maybe we will. The cyborgs, got the what's that chip that Elon's trying to plant in our brains?
possibly, possibly. But then, be realistic now. It's just going to be more transaction validation and incentives driven to the miners through the network fee itself and all of that. It's not going to be like new Bitcoin being generated, and it's going to be a concept of hyper Bitcoinization where everything is being denominated in Bitcoin, and the core concept of mining will now be the incentive generated as profit for you to validate transaction. It's not going to be new coin being generated, and you have less less power in terms of mining. You won't need to use more hash rate than you've been using before. It's just going to be moderate hash rate, and it's going to be more situation whereby the network fee is being attributed to each block and ends up being the gain. It's going to be more transaction validation than new coin creation. That's just my response. And I feel you said you have an insight about it as well. I will appreciate you sharing your opinion for the audience too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that after that last block reward gets given, and I agree with you totally, it's going to be based off the transaction fees, and the network effect is going to be so huge that we wouldn't have to worry about that. One thing I would say though is I wanted to get your opinion on this first about, do you think that artificial intelligence would play a role in terms of mining efficiency, or do you think that there won't be any sort of symbiosis between artificial intelligence and the Bitcoin network at all?
As much as I'm concerned, I feel artificial intelligence will help in terms of doing a lot of things as far as Bitcoin is concerned, rather than creating problem for the innovation itself. It's just more like optimizing and making operation more seamless than it is right now. I assume and categorize artificial intelligence as a way of making things easier than a way of taking away people's or a way of taking away mode of operation. No, it's just going to make things easier, more efficient, and more faster. I mean, we might tend to have mining operation becoming more seamless than it is right now. We might have to have products that interface with artificial intelligence in solving remittance problem than what it is right now, while having Bitcoin as its underlying technology. So it's going to be more helpful than creating the concept of being an arm to the innovation itself. I'm just going to like be playful a bit. In Nigeria, when you ask questions like that, is it going to be helpful or is it going to be good? People respond with, "Oh, na collabo," saying collabo going to be helpful, like they are going to work hand in hand. So I think to our listeners, they should understand that it's going to be a concept of scaling things than the concept of tearing things apart. Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing response. And also, I wanted to just revert back a little bit to when we were talking about the privacy aspects with the Lightning Network. Would it also be a secure way to make sure that your privacy is good to go? Like, could you pop open a software wallet, get the seed phrases, secure the seed phrases, and just be able to receive Bitcoin as normal? Or is there some KYC sort of thing involved, for the objections, for people who don't understand the mechanisms?
I think with Lightning, we have platforms that uh, build Lightning on the code wallet itself as well and all. But most situations that are seen in African products is you have to trade off uh, privacy for utility. You have to trade off privacy for utility. So there's need for KYC. I think wallet for Satoshi, you have to like link up a Gmail and all. Some products you have to link up a Gmail, and also when it comes to Lightning, Lightning itself is not focusing on on making you 100% anonymous. It's focusing on making you have access to instant transaction, fast transaction, low fees or zero fees transaction than just focusing on the private keys aspect and all of that. So with Lightning, um, I would say it's secure, but then you not as secure as the Bitcoin core blockchain. You are trading off, you are trading off 100% self custody for KYC and then utility around payments and medium of first. Yeah.
Yeah, do you think that there's going to come a time where is there going to be something decentralized that's coming, or is there decentralized options for layer two where there is no KYC, or how are you viewing that aspect of it? Because I think that's maybe going to hold a lot of people back. It's going to cause a lot of people not to want to onboard because they're going to be like, oh, this is like traditional financial system where you got to have KYC. I got to wait. I can't just already transact. I can't send and receive money like I want to. So how are you viewing that specifically?
I think we're going to have more products that will be able to integrate Lightning in connection with layer one and offers non KYC option. That's what I think. As far as we are as far as I'm concerned right now, Lightning adoption is quite high in the global south due to its utility around remittance and I mean quite high in comparison to what we have on CBDCs and all of that. I mean, I'm from a region where CBDC is launched, and I'm from a region where Lightning is widely used, and we feel the adoption will still grow better. And when it comes to people disposition, probably adopting it due to KYC or not, I'm going to say there will be products that will be able to offer both Lightning and um, on-chain features while making sure you don't trade off your privacy. So we actually going to be able to like see solutions that offers those services as the need for it keeps arising.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It makes sense. And but anyways, at the end of the day, I don't think Bitcoin's gonna work because CIA owns all the Bitcoin. So.
Wow. Bitcoin is not going to work because CIA owns all the Bitcoin. Coming from people who don't live in Africa, coming from people who don't stay in the global south. You know why? Um, Bitcoin in Africa, Bitcoin in global south is practical. I feel the the Bitcoin you self custody can't be controlled by CIA, and
Yeah.
the Bitcoin operating mechanism is not even subjective to any authority. So everyone going to like interpret Bitcoin the way they interface with the technology. So as for me, I am not of the school of thought of whatever CIA does or FBI does. I actually don't care. I only care about the consensus mechanism of what proof of work offers me and the underlying technology behind encryption and everything good that the cypherpunks has been able to do as far as Bitcoin is concerned. So I'm going to say, bro, I feel you need to contribute more to Bitcoin open source and then spend 10,000 hours studying Bitcoin like my tailor will say, and then you should be able to debunk the myths of what people say about CIA and folks like you Bitcoin and all of that. Bitcoin is actually not a company. Bitcoin is a disruptive innovation to the
Whoa, wait,
traditional.
wait. What? It's not a company. I thought Sam Bankman-Fried owned it. No?
Bitcoin is not a company, bro. Bitcoin is not subjected to the likes of Vitalik Buterin of this world. Bitcoin is for everyone and no one. We are all Satoshi and Satoshi is everything. Thank you, Moon Boy. And it's a awesome time on your show today.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it too. Some people would say, "Ah, I can't feel it. It's not physical. I need like gold. Gold makes more sense, or real estate. You can touch it, you can feel it. It's like physical. what would you say to people that would say that gold, real estate, land, and etc. are better investments than Bitcoin?
Until those people have to travel around and carry about 100 million worth of gold through the airport and then going through a lot of checks and checks and checks, then they understand the value of what Bitcoin entails. I mean, I've traveled to a lot of African countries, a lot of countries without cash. I mean,
Yeah.
I just owed cash or probably owed anything for the custom people or the immigration officer to know that I'm not coming into their country as a broke person. But then you can easily move around with huge amount of money without holding any physical devices or physical property to just let people know that you have anything. So the question around gold being, oh, I want to be able to hold it and all, that's even a trade-off around security. It's you can be attacked and all of that, but then you have to attack my brain and get away with the 12 seed phrases before you can take anything away from me. That's being more secure. I don't have to like go around with the problem or demerit of carrying huge bunk of gold, huge bars of gold because I'm moving around and all of that. So if of exchange, it enables you to actually be extremely liquid than what gold can actually offer you easily. And I think Peter Schiff always say, oh, gold and gold and gold and gold. Well, let's look at the appreciating asset on gold as a commodity itself. Over time, you're going to see that Bitcoin, even when people consider Bitcoin as like, oh, it's on dip this month, Bitcoin is still performing better than all these assets, than real estate. I mean, you can't move your house you can't move your house in San Francisco to Lagos, Nigeria, and you can't move your Lagos, Nigeria house to San Francisco or something. Just the way you can move around with your Bitcoin and the value of your Bitcoin in Nigeria is also worth the same value in terms of exchange in another country. So if your Bitcoin is worth $10,000, it's actually going to be worth $10,000 globally. I think it's something people need to like understand and reckon with. The world is changing, and we have to change with it. There was a time when gold was extremely relevant during the days when people consider money as cowrie shells, when people consider money as just trade by barter. When you have salt, I trade it for your headphone, or probably jollof rice, I trade it for your pen or something. So we have to transition into this process, and it's a gradual process. It takes us back to my point. Everyone we interface with Bitcoin has the time to deserve it, and it's no issue about that. It's just a matter of time, a matter of patience, and a matter of understanding in the long run. I think even the traditional finance was graduating into development initially when it was just strictly fiat. Then we have automated teller machine. Then we start having ATM cards. It takes people to adapt to those innovations as well, just the way it's going to take them to adapt to digital finance and then understand decentralization and then understand Bitcoin and know the intrinsic value of the technology. That's just going to be my response, Mumbo.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a great response, and some people would say even though you've debunked all of these objections, they'd be like, well, I missed the boat. It's like $60,000 now. I missed it. So what would you say to those people who say they've missed it? It's too late. It's too expensive. I'm not gonna get rich. What would you say to those people, man?
Hey bro, I'm just trolling is something that will not just challenge your perspective, but also touch your heart and soul. It's a book that defies convention, blending art and literature into a thought-provoking masterpiece. a reflective piece of provocative art that tackles societal constructs from angles you've never considered. Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling delves into the very essence of our existence. It questions the technology that surrounds us, challenges our notions of beauty, stares unflinchingly into the eyes of death, and questions the boundaries of freedom. It scrutinized the educational system that molds our very future. This book is a journey, an exploration of shared human experience, and it's a work of art that refuses to be confined by tradition. It's a canvas painted with words, a melody of thought, and a testament to the power of creativity in a world dominated by algorithms and data. Visit moonboycapitalventures.com and get your hands on Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling today. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Now let's jump back into the show.
What I'm going to say to them is we are still early. Think of Bitcoin in 2140 and think of Bitcoin now. We are still early. This just 13 this just a decade and few years from inception. And look at where we are right now. Everyone getting into Bitcoin now is still very, very, very early. I mean, Bitcoin is selling below $1 million, is selling below $100,000. Oh, we are still very, very early. There are predictions from BlackRock, predictions from Fidelity Investment and a lot of Van Eck Investment and all, saying the worth of this asset is going to be around $1 million in 2050 and all of that. When we even take in statistics and compare its appreciating features like scarcity, like Bitcoin halving, cutting incentives into half every 4 years, it shows that this asset is going to be very, very scarce at increasing demand level, and that shows what it means as far as economics is concerned. It means it's going to keep appreciating when supply keeps reducing and demand keeps increasing. Then we know what that means. It actually puts more value. So expand that input that into a long period of time, you tend to understand that, man, this innovation has been embedded to keep appreciating. I think there are analysis comparing the price of building to the price of Bitcoin over the past 10 years. You see, when you price building with Bitcoin, the building, the values, and the Bitcoin price increases in comparison to that building. Let's say in 2010, when you want to buy a pizza, you can buy a pizza with 10,000 Bitcoin. But then, who is going to buy a pizza with 10,000 Bitcoin again today? Nobody, man. You are probably going to be buying a pizza with 0.0000 Bitcoin. So everyone trying to get into Bitcoin, try and understand that we are still early. You can still get 0.1 Satoshi, you can still get 100 million Satoshi. And I mean, people who are probably on the range of 100 million Satoshi will be considered extremely rich and being able to like accumulate generational wealth over time. It's just a concept of understanding and taking time to study what is really worth your money. I always say what is worth your money is worth your time. So give your time to understand and then make concrete decisions to indulge or stay away from it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Moon Boy.
Yeah.
The summary of my response to people who feel Bitcoin is too late for them to get in is that we are still early. There's a long way ahead, and the asset itself is an appreciative one. Get as much as possible fast you can get. That is definitely a financial advice that should be considered as non-financial advice.
Yeah, I think it's funny with the financial advisor thing nowadays because everybody's like a financial advisor that's not a financial advisor within our space,
Exactly.
but it's just so kind of it's kind of cliche. But I wanted to also bring up because you mentioned BlackRock, Van Eck, and Fidelity, etc. These guys have launched like ETFs, and some people would say, "Oh, well, it's over because now they control the market and they can manipulate the price, and they have all the liquidity, so they can buy all the Bitcoin." So, what would you say to that?
Uh, they can't buy all the Bitcoin. I mean, you can't buy the entire 21 million Bitcoin that will be available. As much as we can say they have huge volume when it comes to liquidity and all, their demand and supply matrix can be reflective on price action in a short period of time. And I think that's going to be the only buying power they have. But when we think about it, um, it brings us back to the long-term thinking perspective for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually available for everyone to buy, and just the way it's available for BlackRock to buy. And I always tell people, I think the West understanding and interface with Bitcoin is quite different from African understanding and interface with Bitcoin. In Africa, I mean, we buy less of ETFs, we buy more of the asset itself because you're just going to be like, oh, why am I buying a wrapped Bitcoin when I can buy the real Bitcoin? So
Yeah.
why am I trying to like buying an interface that makes me look like I'm buying stock when I can buy just Bitcoin directly? And I think I understand the utility around BlackRock ETFs and whatever the the West is doing. The reason is it's more like bridging the gap, making the older generation have clear understanding to transition into this asset. Reason is, as probably someone in the age of Warren Buffett, during his days, what he or she understands is stock, is shares and all of that, is ETFs and all of that. But then you are telling him about Bitcoin. He or she needs a particular company who is cognizant of stock, who is cognizant of shares and ETFs to be able to convince him or her, or probably create an avenue for him or her to be able to interface with this technology. So I consider everything BlackRock is doing as a way of bringing in Bitcoin to the level of some clients, to the level of some clients who their core understanding revolves around the traditional finance system and the way it operates, the traditional investment metrics around bonds and all of that. So this particular set of people have huge liquidity, right? And it's going to be difficult for you to like orange peel all of them at a time. But when there are services that like make them interface with Bitcoin in the way they understand it, then they will definitely buy into it. So I don't see BlackRock controlling the market, but I see them having influence on demand and supply in the short term, depending on when they feel like doing that, basically based on their liquidity strength and purchasing power, because they can easily make huge demands, and then Bitcoin prices is just a reflection of fiat inefficiency on it. So when there's huge demand and then at the same supply, you see the price going up. But when they are selling, there's no demand and there's still the same, you see like the price will keep coming down as well. And all this can only last for short term as at the moment they are making such decisions. So I think the question around controlling or having huge power to dictate the system is a no-base question, but I would say the only thing we can consider is BlackRock or all these major investment companies having a short-term market trend on the innovation itself as far as trading is concerned. Thank you, Mumbo. That's my response.
Yeah. Some would say that I just want to shift over. Some would say that Satoshi's gonna rug pull us. So are you anticipating the rug pull at some point, or what are your thoughts on Satoshi rugging us?
I think I feel Satoshi is not an individual. I feel Satoshi is a collection of cypherpunks or guys who just feel the archaic financial system is weird. They should find a solution around it. I feel if Satoshi is an individual, he should have just been triggered to come out one of these days. And one thing is, even when Satoshi comes back, Satoshi as an individual cannot influence the network anymore. The network is now bigger than the founder, and the operating mechanism he created has been able to like build on beyond the level he left it. Even if Satoshi is back, Satoshi will need to like probably make pull requests that will involve the entire community, the node, and everybody to like validate and all. And
Yeah.
Satoshi can't be running all the mining infrastructure in the world at the same time. He can't be running all the nodes in the world at the same time. He can't pull a soft or hard fork or anything. So it's just more like, even let's think about a scenario when Satoshi is back. Satoshi influence will not change the underlying mechanism of Bitcoin. And if it doesn't, then his coming back or his declaration as Satoshi holds no water. Just the way we've seen Craig Wright claiming is Satoshi, and then he doesn't have a proof. No, for you to claim, oh, you are Satoshi, you probably have the private keys to the Genesis block and a lot of stuff like that, but no proof as such. And I feel even Satoshi involvement or coming back again will change nothing in Bitcoin as far as the innovation is concerned.
Picture this. You're an inspiring computer science major. You have the 4-year degree program finished. You get out, start looking for work within the job market, and then you realize that there's no jobs. What you end up doing is you become an Uber driver because you realize that that piece of paper that you were chasing was actually worthless. The reality is, most institutions are behind. HeliCode solves this problem by teaching you on-demand Web3 tech skills in a short duration of time and links you to employment with our job placement services. And the best part is, you can work remotely. Find out more at helicode.xyz, and as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense.
But I don't expect him back. He won't come back. He did everything and left. He won't come back.
Yeah, I don't see the point. But what would you say if the Satoshi wallet moves? You think that would affect Bitcoin if the if it starts moving around? And how do you think people would view the situation?
Wow. If it starts moving around, then I think people will be conscious, and they are just going to have the mindset of saying, wow, that means Satoshi is not dead. That means this person is actually still alive. And it's going to create a bit of concern. It's going to create a bit of concern from folks who doesn't know the operating mechanisms of Bitcoin itself, but it's going to create less concern for folks who understand that the return of Satoshi will be meaningless on the network.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Why do you think he chose like 1 million Sats to put in his wallet, or no, I'm sorry, 1 million Bitcoin to put into his wallet?
You said?
I said, why do you think he chose 1 million Bitcoin to keep and hold in his wallet?
To be honest, I would say I don't know, but I feel it's just more like Satoshi looking at the fact that the entire Bitcoin that will be in circulation is going to be 21 million, and then probably is constrained to like hold that chunk of coin in his wallet for the sake of it, or for the sake of being the one who created the innovation, because Bitcoin itself has been an improvement of different research work, from e-cash to all this encryption and all of that. So I just feel it's a personal decision for him. I don't know much about why that decision is being made.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would you say about people who would say, well, why should I invest into Bitcoin when, I got all these juicy altcoins and they're making like a 20x and during the bull run or 50x during the bull run? What would you say to these people that say like Bitcoin is grandpa coin and it doesn't go up as much as this new latest meme coin or the new latest smart contract protocol?
You can't convince someone that is embedded into gambling to now focus on investment. That's what I feel. People tend to learn their lessons through the hard way and then take financial decisions. Even if you are a certified CPA and all of that, when you tell people, you just give them financial advice, it's left for them to follow those financial advice or not. If you feel buying into a company is better to optimize your finances, do it till you understand that making decisive investments works for you better than keying into a product that can easily just die off in a day. Just the way it's not so safe to hold on your assets on exchanges, it's also the same way it's not so safe to invest in altcoins, because one, when you are investing or probably you are making any financial decision, it depends on your mindset.
Yeah.
It depends on what you really want to achieve. Folks who are investing in altcoins are not, there are some that are invested basically to make fiat gains. And it can go north or south, it can go well or bad. They can actually make huge profits, or they can actually make huge loss as well. I mean, I know guys who did Luna, like invested in Luna coin, but we are day to day, and I know
Me.
guys who made it who made a lot of money from it. But then looking at someone who invested in Bitcoin when others were investing in Luna, that person will be able to, as an African, I'm going to say that person will be able to sleep well and wake up well with low risk, and know that, okay, I'm actually going to be, I'm not gambling, I'm investing. Unlike
Yeah.
someone who is more like gambling, that SBF or Doquan can easily say, yes, I think I'm
Yeah.
fed up now. Let me run away with this asset. I'm not investing, I'm not putting my hope in one founder's decision. I'm
Yeah.
putting my hope on sound money. I'm putting
Yeah.
my hope on something that I understand that no individual can easily control. And when we look at the problem in finance itself, we are trying to run away from the problem in which a selected body or agency control our financial system. We are running from a concept where a particular individual dictates or controls what we do. We are running from authoritarian regime. Then is altcoin going to be solving that problem for me? It's just like running from what I'm running from, to like going into a digitalized concept of the problem I'm running from if I'm leveraging altcoin. So I feel Bitcoin offers me self sovereignty. It offers true freedom, true financial freedom. It saves you from stress and panic and all of that. So I feel it's important to opt for this through decentralized assets and say no to gambling and embrace core investment.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get your point there too as well. I like the strategy where I use is I leverage the altcoins to buy more Bitcoin, during these liquidity cycle changes. And so, just try to buy at the lows, hope for a 5, 10, 15, 20x, and then move those directly into more Bitcoin. But yeah, everyone is different in terms of their entire strategy. I think there's room for both. Yeah. Okay. Let's just quickly try to, close off a little bit here. For people who don't understand or think the asset is too complex, where can you think that they can get knowledge? Obviously, we have the Mooncast. So where are the best sources for knowledge outside of, obviously my podcast, and just if you have outlets yourself, you can mention your outlets, and if you have other outlets or other ways people can start to learn about Bitcoin and understand the asset class.
Of course. I mean, the West, people in the West, they should do well to check Black Bitcoin Billionaires community on Clubhouse, on Twitter, and all social media platforms. Um, they should do well to share blackbitcoinbillionaires.com. Um, they can also check DigiOats.io, just like the tag on my float right now, DigiOats.io. DigiOats is a Bitcoin focused education company with liquidity provision services and all. Our giving back to the community initiative is Bitcoin education, sponsored by profits we're making on our remittance structure and other businesses. Um, you can also check timeshare dot timesharestats.com. You get a lot of information, Bitcoin resources, the links to the core network, links to the white paper, links to videos and all of that. You can also check africanbitcoiners.com. It's a product and platform focused on giving people insights, undiluted information about the technology, not diluted ones. Um, you can also check sailors.org, where you get to go through the Bitcoin course and all of that. You can also check our platform and also Trezor Academy, where you get certified with core Bitcoin information and all of that. I mean, a lot of platforms like that. Bitcoiners.com. You can also check out what's it called, What Bitcoin Did podcast. You can check out the Mooncast podcast. You can also join me on Twitter Spaces as I give updates and information about happenings regarding Bitcoin in Nigeria and Africa in general. Feel free to check out all these platforms. These are platforms I recommend where you get undiluted Bitcoin information. And I will say thanks for having me on your show today. Regards to everyone listening to us, and spread the gospel of decentralization and orange pill people. You can actually do that by studying the innovation itself and then sharing insights and ideas with people about the innovation, which makes you learn more and understand more. I mean, I've been able to gain more from this conversation, just the way I believe our listeners would have been able to gain more from the conversation as well. Yeah, that's it, Moonboy. Those are the listed platforms they can opt for.
Thank you. What a show. I appreciate you so much, Heritage. I would love to have you back on. I didn't even get to finish all of the questions, but I know you got to go. So we'll maybe do a part 2 at some point, man. I appreciate your time. And this is another great episode of the Mooncast, and peace.